Begin my remarks on the Rugby World Cup 2011 empowering bill by complimenting you, sir. Chair, it is certainly quite moving, Chair, to see a chairman of your monumental physique in the chair, sir, because I would warrant a guess, sir, that you, sir, are yourself a fan of the golden game of rugby, sir, and I would warrant further, have played the odd game or two. What is more, what is more in the position of lock, sir? And, sir, as a former lock, I count it a privilege to rise to speak on this bill. In fact, as a former lock, I count it... As a former lock, I find it a privilege to rise to speak on any subject at all, because we all know that locks don't always get much of a say, buried as they are in the bottom of the scrum. But, sir, on this occasion, joined together by an invisible bond of lockhood, sir, I would like to rise to take a call. And the main reason for taking this call today, constrained by as I am by my former position on the team, sir, I wish to say this. Labour loves rugby. Labour loves rugby. It is the national game. It is the game where if our national team doesn't win, we want to know why. And sir, it is a great thing when the All Blacks win, and it's even greater when they win under a national administration, because they need all the help they can get, sir. Labour loves rugby. Labour loves rugby, and Labour dearly wants to support this bill because we love the Rugby World Cup. It would not be here. It would not be coming to New Zealand if it weren't for the former Labour Prime Minister Helen Clark, who flew all the way to Dublin on the way to Southeast Asia to procure this monumental event for future generations of New Zealanders. Sir, and it wasn't just the fact that one of our former colleagues was making the travel bookings. Mr. Speaker, Helen Clark made sure New Zealand got to host this Rugby World Cup, and it behoves this House to be in a position, sir, to support this bill all around the chamber. Were it not for another part which we will shortly be debating, we would be absolutely unanimous and unequivocal in our support, and heartfelt it would be too, sir. So you can imagine the pain it brings upon Her Majesty's loyal Labour opposition to be somewhat conflicted in our support for this bill. At one, in spirit with the rest of the House, wanting to see this grand tournament proceed, but somewhat hamstrung by the fact that Part 4 of the bill conveys extraordinary powers on a potential minister. Sir, as one looks through this report, one is struck by the fact that the drafters and indeed the Select Committee have left no stone unturned to bring to New Zealand an extraordinary event. And my personal favourite, although it's strictly outside the part, is on page 5 of the commentary, where we learn to our relief that pain has been taken to separate advisory from administrative staff on the administrative secretariat. There can be few matters more troubling to Aucklanders in particular, and I'm sure all New Zealanders, to think that there could be some commingling of administrative and advisory staff in the functions of the Secretariat for the Rugby World Cup. God forbid that should be the case, sir, and it is a matter of relief to us that it is the usual decision-maker who may comment upon applications. And, sir, ambush marketing has been a great concern. We, sir, hope that the ambush will occur every time there is a foreign lock forward treading the wing towards our try line, sir. Sitting right behind me.
Be patient.
And another great fan of the great game he is, Mr. Henare. And we are all looking forward to his contribution. But I deign to say, sir, that I convey the heartfelt greetings of all of our colleagues on the Labour side and wishing you, sir, and the Rugby World Cup the very best of luck. But it is timely, sir, that we should be debating this bill tonight of all nights, because we have heard today, sir, that New Zealand has secured yet another extraordinary event, that of two, not one, sir, not one, but two hobbits, shall be made upon our shores. And, sir, might I add that for $15 million, a mere trifle it would seem upon the exchequer, Mr. Chairman,
Honourable David Cunliffe.
But we would warrant, sir, that were it not for the extraordinary contortions of the current government and the Prime Minister in particular, that sum might have been somewhat greater, that it might have had to exchange a somewhat larger fiscal offering had it not been prepared to sacrifice workers' rights on the altar of Warner Brothers, sir. And while the member opposite is mentioning the name of the esteemed President of the Council of Trade Unions, we might reflect on the fact that self-same President found herself in the role of peacemaker in this dispute. Peacemaker in this dispute. And we do, sir, offer shared congratulations to Jerry Brownlee, who, upon advice of the self-same President, did reach an accommodation, we understand, with Sir Peter, with the actors' unions and with all other parties some 2 weeks ago. And we can only, sir, ask what happened when, as I hear tell, it may have been possible, indeed expected, then and indeed had been the case that the supposed worldwide boycott on this movie had already been lifted, why it was that certain demonstrations sprung up around the country after the fact, as it was. Now, could it be, sir, that the party opposite were trying to position Her Majesty's Labour opposition in this matter as somehow unpatriotic, in the same way that they might like to try to position the Labour Party in respect of the Rugby World Cup? Well, sir, we will have none of it, because I have not yet revealed to the House my other life, sir. My other life as the President of the Suburbs Rugby Football Club in West Auckland, sir. So, as the President of the Suburbs Rugby Football Club, I would like to commend all members of this House to ask Mr McCulley if he wouldn't make one or two slight amendments to Part 4 so that we can all join together in unison to get behind our team, get behind this bill and make sure that the Rugby World Cup is executed flawlessly in this wonderful country of God's own.
Part 3.
Part 3. Right, yes, and... No, well, it is a little hard to tell by a cursory glance of the commentary. You didn't sit on the Select Committee, not you, Mr Speaker, but the member. A member who I'm sure has had one or two good rucks in his day. Could possibly be, but we couldn't possibly speculate on that. Mr Speaker, yes, I do take exception, Mr Speaker, to the fact that certain members opposite have tried to impugn the honour of our party in respect to the country's great game. Sir, because I'm sure that this game is as dear to you as it is to us, as dear to you as it is to us. And sir, perhaps the one interesting thing about Part 4, when we come to it, that will be a matter of some interest to the House and to the public, is the selection process for precisely which minister will find gainful employment as the Minister for the Rugby World Cup. And my personal bet, sir, is that it will be Jerry Brownlee, practised as he by then will be in suspending the rule of law. Sir, having done so for Canterbury, for admittedly good reason, it's a yes indeed, Mr Gilmore, because, as I say, for good reason, extraordinary circumstances and on the basis of good faith consultation, which usually but not always happens, I'll observe. Yes, going very well, the earthquake reconstruction, that's right. And so my personal bet is that Mr Brownlee, experienced as he is in such matters, will swoop to the rescue and play the same role for the government in respect of the Rugby World Cup. A shame about Labour winning the 2011 election, which, as it is likely to occur before the Rugby World Cup, will mean that Prime Minister Phil Goff will be there to receive the winning team, which of course will be the All Blacks. And so my earnest word in conclusion, Mr Chairman, to the House and to the public is that they back the All Blacks and they back Phil Goff to be the Prime Minister on the day that Rugby World Cup is bestowed upon our national team. So we should get behind rugby. We should get behind this bill, but we cannot get behind the bill until Clause 4 is amended to reduce and remove the extraordinary suspension of the liberties that New Zealanders have fought and died for over many generations.
Chris Tremaine.
I move that the question be now put.
The question is that the question be now put. Those of that opinion will say aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. Party vote. The clerk will conduct a party vote.
New Zealand National.
58 votes in favour.
New Zealand Labour.